Shelby, tell me a little bit about yourself.
I'm 16 and I'm going to be a sophomore at Pulaski High School, and I run track and play basketball.
Okay. What are your other hobbies other than your athletic programs you're involved in?
I like swimming, hanging out with friends, and that's about it.
Okay. What about your family?
Well, my parents are divorced, and that's kind of hard because I have to pack bags all the time. I go a few days without seeing my mom and a few days without seeing my dad too. So.
How long have they been divorced?
Probably since I've been in second grade, I think so.
Okay. So other than just packing bags and going back and forth, is there any other circumstances that makes it hard trying to share and split time between your two parents?
Yeah, sometimes they disagree on things, and that's kind of hard listening to them fight and stuff. Which, I don't know. That's about it.
Okay. Has there been a circumstance lately where they've disagreed on something that you've kind of been in the middle of things?
Yes. Sometimes mom will let me do stuff that dad disagrees on, and they'll fight about it, and it's kind of annoying how that happens and stuff.
So how does that make you feel? I mean, I know you said it was annoying, but
Yeah, it's just kind of aggravating because when I'm with my mom, she should be able to tell me what I can and can't do. And it goes the same way for my dad. I know that they're going to have disagreements on some things, but it's usually just stuff that's not even a big deal. And
so is there one parent that you feel like is more strict than the other?
Definitely my dad.
Yeah, I can see that too. Other than your family and athletics, tell me a little bit about school.
School, let's see. I like school. I make pretty good grades. I get to see my friends there, and it's not really something that I look forward to all the time, but it's not bad.
Is there something that you have? You're going to be a sophomore this year, is that correct?
Yes.
Is there something that you have like as a goal or achievement that you want to conquer this year as a sophomore?
Yes, I want to make all A's, which is a goal that I have every year to make all A's. So.
Is there a certain type of classes that you enjoy more than others at the high school?
Yes, I definitely like math a lot better than any of the other subjects, and I'm taking AP classes, and I did last year, my freshman year too, which those are really difficult sometimes, but those prepare me for college, and so I think they're good to take.
Do you have any ideas of what you might want to be when you're out of high school
A
after
physical
college?
therapist. I really like the medical field, and I want to be a physical therapist, I think.
Has anything happened that made you think that physical therapy is?
Yes, I actually tore my ACL last year, and just going through that whole process, I think, made me realize that being a physical therapist, you help a lot of people and you help them get better, and I think that's had a big impact on what I want to do.
So other than your athletics and academics that you've talked about a little bit, and family and friends, what are your friends? You said something about you enjoy hanging out with friends. What are your friends? What do you all do when you hang out?
We go to the movies, we swim, just hang out at each other's houses, and just do different things.
So do you have a big group of friends, or?
Not really. I mean, I have pretty much 2 or 3 close friends that I hang out with pretty often.
Is there a reason why you like to kind of just stay with just a few close friends versus a big crowd of people?
Yes, well, there's not as many arguments, and there's just a few of us, which is what I like. I don't like being in drama or anything like that.
So being a girl in high school or whatever, not liking drama, do you feel like that's kind of an issue that you have with a lot of, not you necessarily, but girls your age have when they're in school with a lot of friends?
Yes, at school that happens all the time. Over social media, I see it happening, and it's pretty bad in my grade specifically.
So you mentioned social media, and that's kind of, we've done a lot of that just with the different classes I've taken, and they talk about how, like with Snapchat and Twitter and Facebook and stuff like that, and even some of the, I guess, the other social media things that you can hide on there and online dating and stuff. So you see that as an issue?
Yes.
Okay. Just tell me a little bit, maybe not with you, but stuff that you've been maybe exposed to, or maybe that your friends have dealt with or whatever.
Girls will send mean text about other girls, which gets sent around, and then people start to see it, and it gets back to the person that it's about, and maybe some pictures will go around that weren't very appropriate, and it just starts a lot of drama, and girls don't like each other, and they say mean words about each other. And so.
Well, it's easy to hide behind a phone screen, isn't
Yes,
it, and
yeah.
not do it face to face. Other than that, is there anything else, just as as a high school student, things that you feel like that you might face, or your friends might face, or just issues that you feel like are kind of plaguing the young students these days?
Well, bullying is one, because I see it happen at school, and I see it happen over social media all the time. And also over social media, I see kids underage drinking, and even drugs is a problem too. Kids at our school, tobacco, that's a problem. And, that's probably not anything I'm going to get into, but definitely people who see that stuff, they think it's okay to do it. And kids don't really get in trouble for it either.
Yeah. So, at school, like for your counselors and your teachers, it's hard for them to kind of overstep that boundary because a lot of that stuff happens at home.
Yeah.
And to me, probably a lot of it is just lack of, I hate to say that, but just parents monitoring their phones and stuff like that. Is there anything else that you feel like would maybe cut down on that, or I know there's always going to be some aspects of that, but like how could you or your friends that you feel like that aren't involved in that stuff, how could you all be kind of a positive influence on some of those people that are doing some of that stuff? Is there any support groups at school that you have, or clubs that you have, or anything that you could promote?
Let's see, we do have FCA, which we come together every once in a while at school, and the kids that I see aren't really involved in any, doing that stuff, aren't really involved in any sports or activities or extracurricular activities, just things like that. And I think if we could get more kids involved in activities like that, it'd just take their mind off of doing bad things.
Yeah, because you have that positive involvement with other good role model children and stuff like that. And other than bullying and social media, anything else? Because you're kind of at that prime age where you're driving and you have a little bit more freedom and more responsibility. Anything else at school that you see with teenagers your age that you feel like is an issue?
I don't think so. I see some girls that are pregnant at school, and I know that that's just a lack of parenting and stuff, and their parents may give them too much freedom, which is a big problem, I think, with kids my age. They have a lot more freedom, and that just leads to bad decisions. So
yeah, that's true. What could schools do to help that? What do you feel like could be put in place at Pulaski High School where you're at? Is there anything that you feel like is in place there to maybe help encourage young girls or young guys maybe not to be sexually active at such a young age, where you have the lack of responsibility and the lack of parenting? Or is there any kind of education classes they take?
There is sex ed classes that people can take, but not everyone has to go through that. Not everyone has to take those classes. So there's probably not, the school probably isn't doing enough things that they possibly could be doing to prevent things like that from happening.
What about your, as a future counselor, we have to talk about a lot of different aspects of things, academics, social well-being, even family issues, depression, emotional issues. So as your counselor at your high school, what do you feel like that they do to support you as a student?
They always say that, if you're having problems at home, if you're having problems at school, problems with friends, you can always come and talk to them about your issues. But some kids don't feel comfortable talking with adults like that, and they think they can't really trust them just to come to them and, tell them everything that's happened. And I don't know.
Well, trust comes from building a relationship. So do you feel like, okay, so for example, if you were having an issue or you felt like that you needed to talk to somebody, whether it be school related or home related, and maybe didn't feel like you could talk to a parent or a family member or a friend, would you feel comfortable going to one of your counselors?
Probably not. They don't. I think that they could be more involved with the students at the school, and I think that's very important. So students know that they can have someone to talk to, and I don't think that the counselors really are involved enough.
Well, that, like I said, that comes with building relationships. So you
Yeah.
probably, so are they more like clerical type stuff? Like, do they do more like scheduling and academic stuff?
Yes,
And,
they do that, and they do. Like I said, they tell us to come and talk to them, but most students just don't feel
yeah.
comfortable.
Well, there's probably not a lot of opportunity that they kind of give for that stuff to go on.
Yeah.
So other than, have you been responsible or not responsible, that's not the word. Have you been involved in any kind of, you talk about bullying, we talk about social media. Have you been involved in conflict with any of that stuff with your school or friends, or have you had a close friend that's been kind of involved in something where you kind of,
I've had a close friend. I've actually had two friends. Well, one of them was the bully. She talks bad about this person and she does mean things to them and things like that. And I wasn't involved, but I see it happening at school. And it just keeps going on. They don't really, the person getting bullied doesn't really talk to anyone about it, you know. And the girl who is the bully, she's not getting in trouble for it, so why would she stop?
so you said that you were kind of the person doing the bullying, you were kind of a friend of hers.
Yes.
So is there anything that you felt like that you could talk to her about how you shouldn't do that, and this is the reason why?
Yes, I feel like I could have done that, and I didn't, which I probably should have, but I guess it is kind of my place to go and say that to her, but, you know, I don't know if she would have stopped or it maybe would have made the situation worse. I don't really know.
So why do you think she was bullying? Was she just bullying like one person, or?
Just one person, she talks about her and just says mean things, and I don't know why she feels the need to do that.
Well, that is kind of a scary thing because you see so many suicide attempts and teenage suicide, and sometimes when people think that just some innocent words or just trying to be mean or trying to get at somebody, but it can turn into a lot worse
Yes.
situations or whatever
Yeah.
that they have to deal with. Anything else with social media? So bullying, so it's all done behind a phone, right? It
Yes.
wasn't to your face or anything like that.
Yeah.
Anything else with just, I guess, just issues that you've kind of been a part of or had to deal with?
I myself have saw many pictures, inappropriate pictures of girls that have gone around the school through phones, and Snapchat is like an app that happens all the time with girls. I mean, like it's bad, but you know, if you don't want it going around the school, you probably shouldn't be sending those type of things.
That's true. So do you think that's just like to get attention from people, or
I
do you
think
think that they
so.
were just meaning it for one person to see, not thinking that other people would spread their picture
Yes,
around?
boys often will show their friends because they think, you know, that it's cool that they get those kind of pictures and maybe they'd get accepted more with their friends and buddies. And that's just not good. It's not. Um, I think that some girls, they trust people, but really, you know, you can't really trust anyone, especially over the phone. You don't need to send pictures like that. And somehow they're always going to end up getting out.
Yeah, getting to somebody
Yeah.
or parents or something you
Yeah,
shouldn't see.
especially getting back to parents.
So, like in elementary school, and I'm sure maybe it's the same in other schools, but we had kind of like an online safety class that we offer, especially like our fourth and fifth graders, because maybe they're just starting to use the internet more and starting to, maybe do some moderate social media type stuff or whatever their parents will allow them to do. So, do you have people at the high school is there any kind of class, whether it be an English class or a library class or anything, where they talk about how to use social media and the internet properly, and the fact that sending pictures like that or bullying, I mean, there's such a thing called cyberbullying, and charges can be pressed, I guess,
Yeah.
if they can trace it back.
We don't have any specific classes over that. Now, at the beginning of the year, I know pretty much every school does this. They'll show videos and they'll
Mhm.
talk about it and stuff like that, but we don't have any classes about it, and it's not really prevalent. We have maybe some posters around the school about it and stuff, but we don't really talk about it unless it's the beginning of a new school year.
Yeah. So it's not really seen as a big, even though you know and the teachers know and everybody knows it goes on all throughout the year,
Yeah.
they really don't see it as a kind of their issue or kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
And it's hard when it's usually happening after school hours or at home and stuff like that. It's
Yeah.
hard to come back, but that stuff is brought back into the school,
Yeah.
and it causes, issues academically, socially, and stuff like that there.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else that you can you talked about being a part of a team, basketball and track, whatever. Tell me a little bit about your leadership roles on those, two athletic teams.
I just try to set a good example, especially for the kids younger than me and even the kids older than me. I feel like people are always looking up to you and people always watch what you do. So I just try to set a good example and be a good leader.
Yeah. Anything else that you can kind of think of that is about you or something you'd like to say or that you feel like that you feel pretty strongly about or?
Just like I said, I think that maybe the counselors at our school could get more involved. I think that it'd help bring a lot of the issues that are happening down if we could get kids to talk and just feel comfortable talking about the issues going on in school. And that's about the only thing.
Yeah. So everything else seems like you make good grades, you're athletic, and you are probably seen as a role model for high school, whatever. So everything else you seem like it's going pretty well. Mm-hmm. So let's kind of go back to your family stance. So your parents have been divorced since you were in second grade. So it's been kind of a while.
Yeah.
And you're older now, so I understand that you probably are a little bit used to going back and forth, but that still seems to be a little bit of a problem for you. So what is something that you feel like could happen with your situation with your family, with your mom and dad, that may make that going back and forth easier, or maybe the parenting easier, or feel like that you don't have one strict parent and one that kind of lets you get by with it, or your parents aren't kind of arguing back and forth over things? Is there anything that you feel like that would benefit that situation?
I feel like if my parents communicated more, they really only communicate when they disagree on something, which is frustrating because I feel like if they could have a better relationship with each other, it'd just make everything a lot easier.
Yeah. Do you ever feel like that you're kind of in the middle of things, like kind of you have to talk back and forth between?
Yes, this happens a lot. So my dad is a lot more strict, like I said, so he gets mad at mom, so I'll be with mom one day and then have to go to dad's the next day, and it's just kind of weird because he had gotten mad at my mom for letting me do something, and he doesn't have control over it. So if they could kind of set maybe rules that are better, like for both of them, that they both agree on, it'd just be better overall. That way they don't have to disagree on it.
So have you ever kind of said things to them like, why don't you all sit down and talk about what I can and can't do and come to an agreement so that way it's consistent all week and all weekends?
Yeah, we don't really talk about it at all, really. They just just argue back and forth, which they don't really talk about anything that they can come to an agreement on, and rules that both of them feel like are both of them think are appropriate and stuff like that. We don't really talk about things like that.
So are either one of your other parents, are they married or have significant others, or do you have any other like step families or anything like that you have to?
Well, my dad has a girlfriend, and I really like her. She's really nice, and she likes me. I feel like, she's always been nice to me. I've had no problems with her, but my mom doesn't have like a boyfriend.
Well, that's good. At least you don't have other people trying to influence their decisions too, whatever. So what about involvement? Mom and dad, with track and basketball, either one of them involved with you?
Yeah, my dad helps coach for my basketball team, and my mom is always there, like at every game, and dad is always at practices, and he comes to games and stuff too because he has to help or whatever. So they're both really involved with my sports, and they help me a lot and support me like throughout the whole season.
So do you feel like their expectations of when it comes to your athletic stuff is the same too?
Yes, yeah, they both want me to do good and succeed and do the best of my abilities.
So you feel like that the athletic part and the academic part they kind of agree on, but
Yes.
it just comes to like the social aspect of what you can and can't do is where you feel like it's the major problem.
Yeah.
So what about driving? So you're turned 16 and have, I guess like it's not permitted anymore. I don't even know what it's called.
Yeah, it's a permit.
Is it a permit? Okay,
Yeah.
I couldn't remember. So after the permit is the intermediate
Yes.
license. Is that it? Okay,
Mhm.
so it's a permit. So how does that go? So do you feel like they both are on the same page about your driving and helping you be
I think-
successful with that?
Yes, I think driving, they'll both probably have strict rules because car crashes, especially with new drivers, happen a lot. And my dad bought me the car, so he's definitely gonna probably have more rules. And but I feel like they'll mostly agree on the car situation. They should.
You have to agree on that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So it just goes back to the social stuff. So
Yeah.
hanging out, and of course comes along with that comes curfews and
Oh,
whose
yeah.
house you're at and whose house you're not allowed to be at and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, and sometimes you probably feel like you get, what I'm hearing is you kind of get mixed feelings about, like, mom says it's okay, but dad says it's not. But I really don't understand why it's not okay with dad because I feel like your mom would obviously have your well-being at,
Yeah.
at the forefront too. So,
Yeah.
but dads tend to be a little bit stricter, I guess, on daughters and
Yeah.
stuff like that. What about the dating situation with mom and dad?
Okay, the dating situation, that's been a big problem, kind of. My dad wants my boyfriend to come to his house and his house only. He doesn't like for me to go to his house, and he really doesn't want him coming over to mom's, and which he does come over to my mom's house. And I think that's not a big deal at all. If I'm with my mom, I think that she should be allowed to make decisions for myself and tell me what I can and can't do. And I don't think my dad should have control over what happens at my mom's house, which that's been a big problem. They argue over that often, and that's just kind of frustrating.
So is that just one-sided? Like, does your mom try to do the same thing to your dad? Like, try to kind of set the boundaries at his house for
No,
him?
not at
So
all. Not
just,
at all.
yeah. So why do you think that is with your dad? Why do you think that he feels like that he can set rules for other people's houses, so to speak, I guess you could say?
I guess he really is just trying to look out for me, and he doesn't want any bad things happening. But like my mom, she's been my parent my whole life. Nothing bad has happened. I don't understand really why he wants to try to set rules for her house and try to take control over like what I can and can't do over at her house. I don't really understand it.
So when things happen, like you said, that even though he tells you that he'd rather your boyfriend not be at your mom's house, when you all do go to your mom's house, when you go to his house, do you feel like that you have to like answer for things that you've done, even though does he drill you and say, like, what did you do? And who was over there? And why was he there? I told you not for that to happen. Do you kind of have to?
Well, sometimes we just keep it a secret and we don't tell him because it just makes the whole situation easier. And he does get mad. Like, he gets mad at me because he tells me that the only place I can hang out with him is at his house. But at the same time, my mom is 37 years old, 38, whatever. She should be able to make her own decisions and tell me what I can do.
Yeah. Well, that's frustrating that you feel like because I guess you shouldn't be in trouble for something that another parent has allowed you to do and watched out for you.
Yeah.
Something like that. So anything else that you can kind of think of with school was it sounds like school goes good for you,
Mm-hmm.
Friends go good for you, your athletics go good for you, your family is still supportive. There's just some little bumps in the road due to, having two separate homes. Anything else that you can you got some future plans, you want to be a physical therapist and stuff like that and plan on working towards that?
I don't think so.
No. Anything that you feel like that in your life, if you had more of, you feel like that it would make some of those situations easier, whether it be like support from friends or support from family or support from a youth group, we kind of talked about counseling and teachers and the school aspect of it, any kind of clubs or anything like that you feel like that could help, not just you, but any student your age? maybe feel like they fit better or have a better chance of, being successful, or maybe not being bullied, or
Just like I said, if other students could join into more clubs, I think that more issues would be solved, and those issues wouldn't come to be. That's pretty much all.
yeah. So what I'm hearing you say is like you feel like that involvement in school, whether it be athletics or a club or any kind of extracurricular activity, seems to help
Yeah, it helps a
people.
lot, and it helps people stay out of trouble.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's very true. So anything else that you can think of that you'd like to mention or anything?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, thank you very much for talking to me.
You're welcome.